Welcome friends, and thanks for joining me for today's tutorial called Create Your Signature Affirmations with myself, Darlene Brink. In this tutorial, I'm going to be walking you through the exact steps it takes to create and practice your signature affirmations. As a result, you will be able to quickly dismantle your inner critic and choose the truth about who you are as an artist. You will create from this foundation of truth that your work and your practice is purposeful and worthy of sharing. So this is where we are going today, from believing lies about yourself as a creative to accepting truth about yourself as a creative and maintaining consistency and motivation with your creative practice. Tell me, are you here for this? I see that hand, that virtual hand. You've got a pen and paper and are ready to learn exactly how to create your signature affirmations. So listen, this training isn't for everyone. I know your time is valuable, so I'm going to outline the specific type of person who will benefit from this training. So, this is for you if you are experiencing one or more of these tendencies: critical inner voice, perfectionistic tendencies, imposter syndrome, fear of failure, or fear of sharing your work. You are feeling disorganized, overwhelmed, stuck, fearful, doubtful. And the last point is that you have worked through the workbook, How to Make Over Your Inner Critic. If not, please stop here until you have gone through the workbook prior to moving on. Trust me, this content will make much more sense if you do. This is for you if you want to believe and act that you know you and your creative work is worth it. You want to achieve consistency and follow through in your creative practice. You want to have a solid foundation of truthful belief in yourself to rely on for years to come. You want to build healthy new habits that become the catalyst to greater, long-term positive change. You want to regularly and quickly dismantle inner critic lies which will try to sabotage you. You want to show up in your creative space with your online and/or your in-person community, and you want to share your work with the world. Does this describe you? If so, let's dive in and get started. I'll be teaching you exactly how to create your signature affirmations. You'll leave this tutorial with a step-by-step plan to create your signature affirmations, which will inform and guide your creative practice. After just 30 minutes of your time, you'll have your own personalized affirmations that will be your creative work's foundation for success. The reality is, you've been feeling self-critical and doubtful about who you are as a creative and the work that you do. And it's a huge problem because you are unable to show up and share your work. You have seen and felt this because you've probably experienced fear of starting or continuing in your creative practice, irregular creative practice, missed opportunities, and fear of charging your worth. Which means you do not share your work and no one sees your unique talent and the value you offer. Have you experienced this? Trust me, you're going to feel so much better after this training. I know just what you're feeling, which is why I created this training. What you probably don't know about me is, I started my art practice when I was in my teens, but I was so fearful of sharing my work due to low confidence and fear of what others would say that I gave up my art practice. I had no one in my corner, no support, and I was always comparing myself to others who were so much better than me. How could I ever call myself an artist, let alone someone who draws? I felt the call back to create almost 25 years later. I couldn't not create anymore. I pulled out a watercolor set that I had had for years, but as a young adult I said, I can't, and I was too scared to start. How do I do this? What if I do it wrong? What if someone sees my work and is critical? By the time I was ready to pull out the paints, I had done a lot of inner critic and affirmation work that I was able to apply to my newfound love of watercolor painting. This inner critic or affirmation work started when I was 25. I was in my first year of graduate school for counseling. I had no emotional boundaries and no confidence. I accepted what everyone said about me as truth. I was craving understanding, a voice of my own, and solutions to get out of my emotional mess. In order to achieve confidence, I had to shift from self critical to worthy and hopeful. To learn more about this, I turned to personal counseling, my faith, and affirmation work. Even though I didn't believe I had talent and ability to be a counselor, I chose to believe that my supporters weren't lying. That was the beginning of choosing to dismantle the lies my inner critic was telling me and replace them with affirming value statements, or signature affirmations, as I call them now. This is the reason I am now doing this training, because I know what it is like to so desperately want to create, but having so much fear hold me back for years. This has been so important for me because it resulted in picking up my paints, starting a website, opening an online store with my watercolor art, and taking the training to become a surface pattern designer and completing my portfolio. The whole time I was doing it, I was driven by the belief in myself that I could accomplish what I set out to do. I did not let my inner critic hold me back. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what others are saying about my creative coaching process. Here's what Marietta had to say. I had 100 ideas floating around in my head regarding my small home-based business. Darlene effectively helped me gather them together, refine them, and help me get on the right track. I highly recommend her coaching skills and her creativity in helping her clients see the bigger picture. And here's what Sue said. Going through her worksheets helped me see clearly where I wanted to go, all of the small steps I needed to accomplish, and to identify some of the roadblocks in my mind that might try to keep me from achieving my goals. Darlene's consistent posts and checkups kept me moving in the right direction. I found the very act of telling someone else what I wanted to achieve made me work harder to get there. It was a form of accountability for me. I have seen Darlene model the information that she teaches. She is honest about the process and relentlessly encouraging. So here's why my approach is different. I know other people may be teaching this content, but I just do things a bit different because I have the years and experience as a counselor for 17 years. I give the step-by-step system for dismantling your inner critic and creating your signature affirmations. And I know the unique struggles of the inner critic on the creative process because I am an artist as well. I have sat with many people and walked with them through challenging their inner critic and successfully creating their signature affirmations. This method of cognitive reframing is proven to work extremely well on the inner critic. And I have coached other creatives in successfully moving forward with showing up and sharing their creative offerings. So here's what we're covering today. What are affirmations? What do affirmations do? The value of voicing affirmations, the value of writing out affirmations, taking action, creating your signature affirmations, and results and benefits of practicing affirmations. What are affirmations? Affirmations are short, concise I statements in the present tense that you are working towards believing. They affirm what you desire rather than what you might want to get rid of. Affirmations contain truths that directly counter our inner critic, fears, or mistaken beliefs. What do affirmations do? They address the lie of the inner critic. Remember those lies you identified that target your worth and say that you are not enough? They replace the inner critic with truth. They focus on the good, not the negative. Remember, what we feed grows. Affirmations directly counter and challenge the negative thought or fear, which in essence is a lie. And lastly, they build in healthy new thought habits that become the catalyst to greater long-term positive change. When should you practice affirmations and why? You should practice building affirmations daily, weekly, monthly, so basically all the time. If we want to rewrite the inner critic, we must create habits. Habits create new patterns and retrain our brain to accept new pathways of belief. So let's talk about the value of voicing affirmations. Taking your signature affirmations and voicing them out loud sends a message to your brain that you are choosing to value yourself and forge a new path. Saying them out loud becomes a verbal contract between your belief of your inner worth and your action. We give literal voice to our affirming thoughts. Labeling diffuses power and enables change. And then there's the value of writing out affirmations. Writing out your signature affirmations versus just speaking them out makes you 40% more likely to believe them. It is a good idea to write them out and put them in your journal, on a mirror, in your car, or anywhere you spend time where you are alone and able to repeat them out loud. Writing affirmations is a way to mark and remember where you are and where you are headed. It is important to have visible evidence to the changes you have made and are making. Look at the following affirmation examples from your workbook, Creating Your Signature Affirmations. These directly correspond to and are the made over critical statements you identified for your inner critic, perfectionistic tendencies, and imposter syndrome examples from How to Make Over Your Inner Critic. Reference the critical inner critic statements with the new affirmations. These will become your signature affirmations. You can use these affirmations or create your own from your work done in How to Make Over Your Inner Critic workbook. So take a look at the inner critic statements that you identified with in the How to Make Over Your Inner Critic workbook and match them with the affirmations for the inner critic. So, for example, I cannot take risks becomes I am fully capable of taking risks. I will never make money at my art becomes I will make money at my art. And another one, I fear others will criticize my dreams. And the opposite, my dreams are important to me. When others criticize my work, I will choose to disregard it. As you can see, the affirmations for the inner critic are short, they're concise, and they're present tense statements, often using the word I. For example, the inner critic statement that says, I cannot ask for time to practice my art, the affirmation becomes, I am setting boundaries around my creative needs. Moving on to the perfectionism or perfectionistic tendency statements, an example is, I can't get it right. And the affirmation is, I am getting it right and will choose to recognize it. Sometimes it's helpful to have two statements as an affirmation, but still maintaining present tense and making each of those statements very concise. So, for example, the perfectionistic statement, why can't you be as good as your sister or your coworker, becomes, I am as good as I need to be for myself. I do not need to compare myself to anyone else. And lastly, let's look at the imposter syndrome statements and the affirmations that go with them. Sometimes you can't change it into a I statement, but you can use the word my. So the imposter syndrome statement that says, why should I bother trying? The affirmation becomes, my effort is worth my time and dedication. You're still maintaining the short, concise, present tense statement, but you're interchanging I with my, which is totally fine. It is important to remember that when choosing affirmations for the imposter syndrome, we are targeting a lie. So we're challenging and changing a lie into a truth. That's what an affirmation is. So, for example, what if somebody tells me I have no talent? Could be that negative belief or the lie that we start to believe. Well, the affirmation for that is I'm choosing to listen to those who support me and my work. And another example, someone is going to find out I have no talent. The affirmation that targets that lie, which says I have no talent, changes into I have talent and I do not need to prove this to anyone. On the page in your workbook that says take action, start with 1 or 2 maximum affirmations to practice. If you pick too many, your brain will be overwhelmed and you will give up. Take one of your signature affirmations that you have chosen and write it out. What does it feel like? What are your thoughts as you look at this affirmation? Then take the same affirmation and say it out loud. What does it feel like? How does it sound? And how do you feel saying it? Practice saying your chosen affirmation 2 or 3 times a day and take note of your comfort level. Write out this same affirmation at least once a day. Once you choose your recurring affirmation, use the following tool, similar to the one in the workbook, to rate your belief in your affirmation daily for 1 week. Your rating guide goes from never to rarely, sometimes, often, and always. At the end of the week of practicing writing and speaking your affirmation, ask yourself, did my belief in my affirmation go up or down? What about my comfort level? It is to be expected that saying and writing it will cause some unease initially, but as you practice daily, over time, your belief will increase. Also, is my affirmation becoming automatic? As in, do I write it or say it without the reminder of my paper, or do I need to practice this habit for another week? Let me share with you the results and benefits of practicing your affirmations. When we start or continue our creative work, we need fuel to start and stay motivated. Affirmations are the key tool that will help us achieve consistency and follow through. If we practice affirmation building regularly, we set in motion the automatic response when we face situations where our inner critic pops up and tries to sabotage our creative process. Remember Marietta? She went from being a scattered, disorganized creative business owner to intentional, structured, and purpose-driven business owner. And Sue's win. She went from having mental roadblocks, believing inner critic lies, basically, to seeing the path laid out before her with all the steps necessary to achieve her goal. But you came here because, as an artist or creative, you are held back by self-criticism and doubt, otherwise known as the inner critic, imposter syndrome, and perfectionistic tendencies. You are tired of letting fear hold you back from creating and being unable to present your work. I want to know if you are fully committed to doing what it takes to move past self-criticism, doubt, fear, and hesitation, and towards fearlessly showing up, creating your best work, and sharing your work with the world. Are you willing to do what it takes to achieve that? You could do this alone, but I want to ask what it would feel like for you if you had the foundation for success, the framework for success, hands-on tools, accountability, and the support of other like-minded creatives and artists such as yourself. While this process seems complex, and it is, I've done it so many times before that this can be really easy if done together. Together, inside Become a Confident Artist, Overcome Fear, and Create Your Best Work, we are breaking down the step by step process of becoming a confident artist and showing up and sharing your work so that you don't have to struggle through any of this alone anymore. You might be thinking, I don't have the time. I don't think I'm ready. I don't know if I can make this work, or I'm not sure this is for me right now. But here's the thing. You can dismantle your inner critic so that you can fearlessly show up and become the accomplished artist you desire and share your work with the world. Doesn't that sound amazing? Which is why today I'm sharing my new group coaching program, Become a Confident Artist, with you. This online group coaching program was created to help you go from self-critical and doubtful to fearless and accomplished as an artist who shows up and shares your best work with the world. Inside Become a Confident Artist, we are breaking down the step-by-step process of becoming a confident artist so that you don't have to struggle alone with this anymore. Become a Confident Artist is an online group coaching program expertly designed to show you step by step how to quickly and effectively stop inner critic sabotage and create, show up, and share meaningful work consistently and with confidence. In Module 1, Make Friends with Your Inner Critic, you become more in tune with your triggers, what sets you off. You start tracking what your inner critic sounds like, where it shows up, and when it shows up, so that you will be less surprised and more prepared for what to do next. You will be able to move through making necessary adjustments to your inner critic quicker. In Module 2, Make Over Your Inner Critic, you will infuse truth into your creative practice and dismantle the inner critic, which is that inner voice that is lying to you. You will choose to continue to move toward rewarding change. In Module 3, Create Your Signature Affirmations, you will practice affirmation building regularly as you set in motion an affirming automatic response when you face situations where your inner critic pops up and tries to sabotage your creativity. In Module 4, Discover Your Value System, you will start the preliminary and ongoing work of discovering and evaluating your value system, which is knowing and working from your why. You will have congruency between your beliefs and your creative practice. In Module 5, you will step into your strengths, which means you will let the unimportant work fall away and you will lean into your best work. This is the alignment of who you are with what you do and what you share with the world. In Module 6, Goal Setting, the Intentional Artist, you will learn to create structure, accountability, and focus. Intentional goal setting gives you clarity and moves you through the creation phase of a particular project successfully through the sharing of your work. Creating your best work and sharing it with the world is the outcome of this process, so it makes sense that you need to have an intentional path and system. In Module 7, Boundaries, Body, and Environment, you will learn to be intentionally purposeful about your mental, spiritual, and physical health. Your health gives your creativity room to flourish. You are not just a doing, but a being as well. So here's the offer. It's a 7-week group coaching program with 2 weekly lives each week, a private Facebook group to interact and ask all those great questions, a signature framework workbook, access to all the slides, an artist-specific guided imagery audio, an artist-specific breathing exercise audio, multiple guest speakers who are all artists in their own right. And if you join today, you will also get this limited bonus. a one-time one-on-one session for the first 10 applicants. That means you receive a 1 hour of private coaching just for you, which is tailored to your specific creative journey. And this is valued at $200. So you can get started today for only $397. So if you are ready to challenge and disarm your inner critic quickly, infuse truth into your creative practice, establish congruency between your beliefs and your art practice, focus only on your best work, and create structure, accountability, and focus while honoring your mental, spiritual, and physical health, and do it together, then this course, Become a Confident Artist, is for you. Yes, it is a big commitment, and because of that, not everyone can jump on this offer. Every artist has a lot on their plates with their respective creative practice, and taking a new online course can seem like a daunting task. However, all of this is exactly why I created this group coaching program, to go from discouraged, self-critical, and creatively stuck to confident, fearless, and making meaningful work, and to be part of a group with other supportive peers who are feeling exactly the same way without the fear of being seen and scrutinized in your creative practice. So if you are ready to get started with building your toolkit for a solid foundation as an artist, share your work consistently, and make sales, then don't miss this opportunity. This offer ends soon, the clock is ticking, so join us, and I hope to see you on the other side. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you inside Become a Confident Artist.